Hey everyone, Sam Shimizu Jones here, and welcome to this brief photo chat about the top cameras of 2020. Really, we're not just talking about the cameras that came out this year, but just the cameras we recommend to anyone that is in the market for a new camera. We've split this chat up into three different sections. The first being entry level cameras under $1,000. Really, there's some pro level cameras, or at least semi pro level cameras in this batch. But they're a bit more economical. A lot of them come with kit lenses, or you can find good deals to get kit lenses and just sort of start your photo journey. From there, we have our semi-pro, even to professional level, sort of $1,000 to $3,000 range. And then from there, we go into our pro level above $3,000. And, this is focused on cameras. We're not getting into lenses and all that too much, but it's really just a way to give you an overview of what is out there. So starting off, the Nikon D5600, there's the 3500 and the 7500, sort of just slight tier upgrades or downgrades from this camera. This is sort of in the middle. The D7000 line does have weather sealing, which I think is great. For the most part, a very similar camera. The D3000 line, basically you just lose some of the abilities of the 5600. It's still a great starting camera and overall has a lot of the same features. So you're really not losing too much. What I like about this camera though, 24 megapixel, you have a rotating LCD screen. You can shoot 4K. Really, I'm going to focus on the photo aspects, but for $800, you can get 2 kit lenses, which I think is a great deal. Of course, if you go with the D3000, you can get more lenses and have a slightly cheaper body. If you go with the D7000, going to cost a little bit more for the body, but they all share the same lenses. Now, if you do want to one day get a full frame, these lenses, they'll work, but you won't be utilizing the full frame. You'll be shooting in crop mode at that point. Really great camera though, great starting point. I know a lot of photographers that are doing amazing work with these sort of entry-level Nikons. From there, we have the Nikon Z50, which you can see here with a kit lens is just under $1,000. This is Nikon's mirrorless camera that, along with the Z6 and Z7, has done pretty well. They have, for the first time, a new lens mount. Nikon was known because their film cameras to their more modern cameras all had the same lens mount, which I loved about them. For the mirrorless, they had to come out with a new lineup. You can get an adapter that I have heard works well. This is a great, really compact little camera. You can get this whole kit with a lens for under $1,000. Great starting point. And yeah, these, it's a crop sensor mirrorless, which honestly, crop sensor, I think a lot of those cameras are doing really amazing things these days. 20 megapixels. It has all the features that you want out of sort of an initial camera. And the size is so great. It's that really compact little size. And again, you're getting crop sensor, not full frame. So if you move to the Z6, you'll need to get a new lens package at that point, but it's a good starting point. And you can also see here, you can get it with the zoom lens as well, and it brings you just over 1,000, but you get 3 lenses, bunch of other stuff. It's a great starting point. Both the D5600 lineup or those other 7,000 or 3,000 lineup, or the Z50 are both great options for anyone starting off. Now, if you are more prone to Canon opposed to Nikon, the T8i, EOS Rebel is a staple in the camera world. I mean, I've always known about the EOS Rebel lineup. The fact that they're on T8i now is remarkable to me, but it's a wonderful entry-level camera. Rotating screen so that you can, do video or see yourself as you're taking video. Really simple, display menu system. It's really straightforward, a good starting camera, coming in at $900 with the kit lens is really good. 24 megapixels kind of standard here. It's a crop sensor, APS-C. more and more of these are all shooting 4K video at this point. And, I think the main thing to understand with these entry level cameras is they're not going to always have weather sealing or maybe as fast as autofocus. They'll be more limited in those areas, but you'll be able to get a good base knowledge and understanding of what DSLR or mirrorless cameras are capable of and why shooting with those is going to be what real photography is all about, opposed to shooting on like an iPhone or whatnot, which is still capable. But so looking here, the Rebel SL3, a little bit cheaper than the T8i, but a great entry level camera. It's, all these are going to have slightly lighter builds because they're not going to be really heavy duty materials that have made the camera bodies. But again, 24 megapixel APS-C. And yeah, another good, cheap entry level. I've heard nothing but good things about this camera. Moving on from there, you then have Canon's mirrorless camera body, which this is a really, $1,000 just for the body, but it's a great starting point. It's a pretty beefy camera that enables you to shoot, the sort of mirrorless revolution has become really popular in terms of where I think photography is going. 26 megapixels, full frame. And if you ever want to be upgrading to maybe the R5 or R6 one day, which are Canon's new flagship cameras, this would be a great starting point because you get this, you get the lenses, and then one day down the line you can upgrade to that that beefier R5 or R6 camera. Then we go into the Sony lineup, the a6400. There's now a 6600, which is just over $1,000. But I think this is a really great camera. Again, Sony's infamous for its autofocus and sort of what these cameras can do in terms of video and photo. They have the flip screen, which is really nice if you're doing vlogging or anything like that. But it is, Sony's menu system. You can see here, the buttons on the back are pretty minimal. A lot of what the camera can do is in the menu system. And, take it or leave it for what it is. Some people dread that, and other people really learn how to use it and realize it's a really powerful tool. With a kit lens, you're just under $1,000. But yeah, really, again, 24 megapixel. It has real-time eye tracking, which is great for autofocus. Moving from there, Fuji, which I think on the other end of Sony, you have all the dials on top. You set the shutter speed there. You set your exposure. A really cool look too. I love the looks of Fuji's. And coming in at $900, a great starting point. And the nice thing about Fuji is they're all crop sensor outside of their medium format cameras. So if you get XT30 or even the XT200, which is another great camera, you'll be able to use all your lenses on the XT4 if you want to upgrade to sort of their top of the line camera one day. 26 megapixel APS-C, shoots 4K video, all the amazing electric viewfinder. I love the viewfinders on these. And really the main difference between the XT30 and like the XT4 is weather sealing. There is some advances in terms of image stabilization or, a couple different things that the XT4 has that makes it that top of the line camera. But overall, the sensor and whatnot, it's very similar and really a great camera to start off with. And something that, again, you can use all those lenses if you upgrade the camera down the line. Lastly, we have the Panasonic Lumix G7. Micro Four Thirds, Panasonic's really stuck to the Micro Four Thirds world. It's compact, it's lightweight, and what they've been able to do with video with that smaller sensor is really amazing. That being said, some people want a larger sensor, but I've also seen amazing images come from these cameras. It is 16 megapixel, which isn't great, but I think for the price point, it's a really good entry-level camera that, especially if you're wanting to do like burst photography or try some video, try some photo, I think the Panasonics are a great place to start. So yeah, that's sort of the entry-level cameras. So now let's go into more mid-range cameras. Here, starting off, we have the Canon EOS 90D, DSLR, APS-C, crop sensor, just over the $1,000 mark, but it's the highest megapixel count crop sensor camera on the market. Has articulating screen, which is sort of, what people really want these days when they're doing photo and video work, which these cameras excel at. It has that classic sort of Canon build. It is not going to be necessarily as robust as some of the higher end Nikons, but it's a really good film and photo camera. Good autofocus, up to 10 frames per second in burst mode, which is really good. Now, so the entry level into Canon's full frame market is the EOS 6D Mark II. This is a really great camera. You can see, like with the 24-105, you get up over the 2000 mark, but just the body, you're at 1400. This is full frame, so you're going to want to use full frame lenses for this camera opposed to getting APS-C lenses. So that is one thing to think about. If you eventually want to get into the full frame realm, maybe starting with a 6D, you can then be buying into the full frame market. Now, what I think is a really, and it costs obviously $1,000 more, but the EOS 5D Mark IV, the 5Ds have been just an incredible camera to see grow from the first one to the second. They sort of brought video into the game with DSLRs, but they really struggled with autofocus with these. They offered a lot of new technology, but were limited in other ways. And as it's grown into the Mark IV, it's just a great camera now. Fast autofocus, 30 megapixels of information, or 30 megapixel images, and really great for video, and just a robust tank of a camera. You get all this information up top through the screen, lots of buttons to sort of customize and really just be able to get to all the information and quickly move through the settings that set you up for success when taking photos. Obviously getting to that higher range of sort of the semi-pro level, but a really, really great camera. From there, dropping back down a little bit, we have the a6600. We talked about Sony's a6400, but this is just a slightly beefed up, faster autofocus, more video capabilities, but just a great, I'm not even sure, this is at the top of the line APS-C for Sony, but the form factor, the size, the screen, it's a really capable camera. What I think even more so, and it's $800 difference, but the A7 III is a really, this is semi-pro to pro basically. This is going to enable you to do a lot of really incredible photo work and video if you want to do that. The autofocus is amazing on Sony's, switching to the Leica, which is, I love this camera, but the Sony's autofocus is just, I haven't seen it like, no other camera has an autofocus system like Sony. And this camera really brings it all together, along with the a6600. They both have really stunning autofocus. Remains to be seen, the Sony a7C, their new full frame camera that is the size of the a6600. And this is just the most compact little camera on the market in terms of full frame. Single card slot, has HDMI, all the knickknacks. But again, it seems like it's going to be a really incredible camera, sort of replace maybe the a6600 lineup. Sony's full frame lenses have really expanded. This they released with a new 28-60, smaller compact lens, 4 to 5.6, so a little bit slower, but you'll be able to use all your full frame lenses on this camera. From there, Fujifilm's X-T4 came out earlier this year. Amazing camera, really great photo capabilities, has in-body stabilization, great for video, and just such a cool looking camera. I love the top dials here. You have ISO, you have shutter. All their lenses have the f-stop on them. Just a manual analog feeling camera and at a really incredible price point. Fuji's glass is some of my favorite glass out there. Yeah. Now, this is definitely a pro level camera, right on the edge of $3,000. It maybe should be in the professional realm, but the D50 from Nikon is just a tank of a camera. 45 megapixel count, full frame, fast autofocus, fast processor. You're able to do really amazing burst with it. It's fully weather sealed. Great camera if you're trying to really step up your game. If you're going to be out in the field, out in nature, this thing's a tank. It will last a lifetime. I love Nikons. I have the D800 and they've just kept expanding, making that camera better and better over the years. The Z6, Nikon's entry into mirrorless, a great camera. You know, I think the Z7, Z6, they got sort of overshadowed by Sony's cameras, but a lot of photographers I talk with, the Z7, the Z6 are fantastic. Fast autofocus, incredible video capabilities, incredible photo capabilities. You know, Nikon's lenses are quality. They're some of the best glass out there, and you do pay for it. The 51.8, you know, $600. It's not necessarily cheap, but it's not crazy expensive either. Yeah, really like these cameras. Highly recommend if you want to go with the Nikon route. You know, between you know, the D850 is obviously much more expensive, but the Z6 is a great starting point, and you can maybe one day upgrade to the Z7. And I really believe down the line you're going to see a lot more of Nikon's Z line for their mirrorless cameras. Lastly, we have the Panasonic Lumix DC-S5. This is a great camera from Lumix that I think, you know, Panasonic doesn't get, I think, enough hype. I think in certain realms, people really see the value. They're a little bit cheaper considering what they offer. You know, video is really where they stand out. It does 4K at 60 frames a second, 10-bit internal, which, you know, everyone's so excited because finally Sony and Canon are catching up to this, going a little bit beyond it, but it's also a great photo camera. 24 megapixels, 14 stops of range, lightweight camera, like not super bulky. But yeah, so that's another great camera just released. So we'll see how it stacks up against the competitors. So now that we've gone through the semi-pro and the sort of entry level, let's just quickly touch on the pro level cameras. Starting off, we have the Canon EOS R5. Now, this was just released. This is a really, you know, what Canon needed to come out with. It supposedly shoots 8K RAW, 4K at 120, 10-bit internal. This is, you know, with photo reaching that 45 megapixel count, how much higher will go in megapixels, I'm not really sure how necessary it will be. There are ones that are doing 100 megapixels. Sony a7R4 obviously does 60, but it's a pretty significant size in terms of photography, in terms of photo. Having the in-camera stabilization is also another big selling point in sort of the high-end cameras these days. Being able to really, you know, have that removing the shake from your hands, and then the high-end internal video recording capabilities. This camera, you know, I've yet to see it being used in the field. I'm really curious to see how it does in terms of heat and, you know, can it shoot 8K internally without overheating every 5 seconds? We shall see. But amazing viewfinder screen. I mean, this is their top of the line camera. Alongside it is the R6, which is just slightly a slight downgrade from the R5. Then you have Sony's a7S III, which is their latest and greatest camera to come out. Now, this is not what I would recommend as a photo camera. This is definitely video focused, video centered, but I wanted to put it in here because I believe very soon we will see the same video or similar video capabilities with the A7 Mark IV, or we'll see the same video options alongside 61 megapixels opposed to 12 megapixels with the A7R5. From there, you have A7R4 here, which has been out for a little bit, but an amazing photo camera. I love my A7R3. Both are very capable, really fast autofocus, great tracking, high megapixel count, a durable camera. But when it comes to wanting to be out in the field and really, if you're going out into the rain and snow, I think Nikon and Canon, I can't speak for the mirrorless Canon and Nikon, but the DSLR 5D Mark IV from Canon or the D850 from Nikon, and then you get into the D6 and the 1DX from Canon, these are tanks of cameras. These are cameras that you leave out in a blizzard and they're still taking photos. Incredibly fast processors, shooting high frame rates, great in low light, just incredible machines. Obviously you're paying for them. I know a lot of concert photographers that primarily shot on these cameras, longer battery life. Just you're never gonna be slowed down by your camera when using those types of cameras. The S1H shares a similar sensor to Leica's. This is touted as it had the video capabilities, has great photo capabilities, just an all-around great camera. Again, Panasonic Lumix, I think certain people buy into it, but it's just not a camera for everyone. People like to stick with sort of the big names in the photography world, but they make really great cameras. And I've actually been looking into them more with my SL2 now. They have the same type of mount, so I'm curious to see or go and test some of their cameras. But everyone I've heard of, they love their Panasonic, especially for video side of things. Not so much photo, I don't hear as much, but video aspects, a little bit cheaper while offering everything that you're getting from these other high-end sort of name brand companies. Lastly, the Fujifilm GFX 50S. Now, for whatever reason, Fuji decided, no full frame, we're going to do crop sensor, and we're going to make the best crop sensor. I think the X-T4 is by far the best crop sensor out there. And then we're going to go medium format. And this is really a studio photographer's camera, really amazing portraiture. I've loved the portraits I've seen come out of this. I know Will shot with it a couple times, or maybe once, but just an incredible camera. 51 megapixels. They also have another GFX 100, which shoots 100 megapixels. It's amazing, like the megapixel count of this camera versus the Sony, because Sony's a full frame, but with 61 megapixels. This is a medium format. The sensor is so much larger, so it makes sense that you have higher megapixel. But yeah, great camera. All right, so that is our list of favorite cameras in 2020. A lot of great options out there. And just remember that, whatever you're looking to purchase, remember it's not just the camera, it's also the lens system. It's maybe the, future upgrades you might have in your camera choices. And as always, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to give my thoughts on what a good camera would be for you, depending on what kind of photography you're interested in and all that. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll be sure to keep this list updated as new cameras come out. So thanks everyone. Take care.